You're listening to The Paul Higgins Show, where ambitious tech consultants come to unlock their potential. After 18 years as a global leader, I launched several businesses, culminating in a successful exit. I'm sharing what I learned, plus what's working now from mentoring tech consultants. You will hear leaders within our industry to help you build a business you love that allows you to do what you want. If you are looking for immediate cash flow wins to fuel your growth, go to our free ebook at paulhigginsmentoring.com/roadmap. Imagine this, you're drowning in emails, your task list is overflowing, and you can't seem to find enough hours in the day to focus on what really matters, growing your business. Hello, this is Paul, and welcome to episode 596 of the Paul Higgins Show, and it's just you and me today. We will be diving into a game-changing approach to productivity that I've refined over 28 years, including time at Coca-Cola, time working at the number one productivity company, Franklin Covey, and now mentoring tech consultants / SaaS partners. I've noticed a common pattern. Brilliant minds getting bogged down by tasks that shouldn't be on their plate. Does that sound like you? Let me share the framework that transformed how my clients manage this time and task, because it doesn't matter what I say from a strategy point of view and what we agree to. If they can't find the capacity to do it, they just can't move the needle. So first, let's talk about the 3 Ds. And probably, you've probably heard it from lots of other people, but I've got my own little version of it. First is delete, and delete anything that doesn't align to your top priorities and review those every day. Just delete it, right? I've been guilty of this. I've had a million things on my plate and I just don't get to the important things. If you eliminate the unimportant first, it makes sure you've only got left the top priorities. So number 1 is delete. Number 2 is delegate. And that's to a team member, right? And that team member, as I'll talk in a moment, can either be, human now, or it can be digital with agents and everything else that's coming on. And number 3 is do it yourself, right? So once you've deleted it, you've delegated, then only what you could do should be left. And if you can do it in 2 minutes, do it. So if there's a task, an email comes in, or an email that's been filtered hopefully by your team comes to you, just do it in 2 minutes. But if you can't, you should put it in a task manager, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. And I go in a lot more detail on this in my book, Build, Live, Give. I wrote it on dialysis in 2019, so it's coming up to its 6th birthday, but it's still very relevant for what we do today. Build, Live, Give on Amazon. So this simple framework has helped my clients reclaim hours of their day. But here's the key. You need to have a system that makes this automatic, not something you have to think about constantly, right? We've already got too much on our plates and our mind. So what I've done is summarize them into 5 productivity tips. So let me break them into the core elements of an effective productivity system into what I call my top 5. But before we do, remember, you have your own style and experience, right? So take what is right for you, because ultimately there is no right way of doing this. There's a way that works for you, but hopefully these jog your memory on what you have done in the past that's been successful and you're not doing now, or something that you've never heard of and you can implement. So number 1 is task management versus calendar management. I briefly spoke about it before, but one of the biggest mistakes I see tech consultants make is trying to manage everything in their calendar. Your calendar should be there for time blocking, meetings, and not your to-do list. Instead, use a dedicated task manager for your activities. So think of it this way. Your calendar is there for when you work on tasks, but your task manager is the detail of those tasks. So for example, in mine, I might have go and do ClickUp. Currently, I'm using ClickUp. So go and do your ClickUp tasks, and then they'll already be sorted and prioritized, right? That's a much better way of doing it than having everyone listed in your calendar. And the separation is crucial for maintaining focus and preventing overwhelm. And this was one of the key tenets of when I did the 5 Choices program for Franklin Covey, and they had sort of the top neuroscientists. And, it's coming from them. It's not just my own experience. It's coming from them. And I find tasks and calendars are so easy to skip, right? You just skip one, the pattern continues, where if you've got high, urgent or high priority on your task list, I find it a lot more effective. So that's number 1, task management versus calendar. Number 2, the big rocks first. And yes, I'm bringing up Franklin Covey here. You can go and there's all the old videos where they got their perms, etc. in the 80s. But go and watch it if you haven't heard of it. Most people have. But it's about putting the big rocks in the jar first, and then all the little pebbles can fit in. So that holds true for what you do. So here's how I structure my priorities. I put my life commitments first. And what I mean by that, health and family. Obviously, health's critically important being a transplant patient, so I always have that first. Second is client work. Third is sales activities to get more clients, to get results for them. And finally, it's the administration tasks. And they should be the ones that your human and digital team now can't do. But here's the critical part. You need to be ruthless about protecting those priorities. It's not just about making the list. It's about having the discipline to stick to it. Number 3 is the power of delegation. Here's something that might surprise you. I don't even look at my inbox anymore. It is absolutely liberating. My team screens everything and only brings the essential items to my attention. So there are critical tasks that I've got to do. They put in my task manager. Things that they can do, they do. And anything that I've got to read and reply to, they just put it in APH to read. So now I might have 5 or 6 emails a day out of the 200 that come in. It's brilliant. This alone saves me hours each week and prevents the constant context switching that kills productivity. And you think about it, how many times did you go in your inbox today or your emails, right? And each time that you check it, it costs you about 15 minutes and lost concentration time. And that adds up very quickly. And once again, this is not from me. This is from the neuroscientists that I worked with when I was at Franklin Covey. So far we've got the task management versus calendar, number 1. Number 2 is the big rocks first. Number 3 is the power of delegation. And now we're going to number 4, the simple focus rule. And this is perhaps the most powerful principle. Work in 30-minute blocks on one thing only. No multitasking, no checking emails, no responding to notifications, just pure focus work on your highest priority task. I've seen tech consultants transform their productivity by implementing this one principle alone. So when you're doing outreach, just do outreach for 30 minutes or whatever the block is for you. I find 30 is the best. You can do 40, 45, whatever. But when you're working on client deliverables, focus solely on that, right? So that's number 4, which is the single focus rule. And last but not least is the daily reset, number 5. Here's a practical way that's often overlooked. At the end of each day, by cleaning up your task list, if something hasn't been done in a week, it's probably never going to be done. And, we've all experienced that. Either first, delete it. Second, delegate it or reschedule it to a specific time commitment. The goal isn't to get everything done in a day. You just can't ever do that. It's to ensure you're working on the right things at the right time. So, ready, set, go. Number 1, implement the 3 Ds approach. Today, start by listing everything you can delete, everything you can delegate, and everything you can do. Number 2 is set up a dedicated task manager separate from your calendar and transfer all of your to-dos in there. And just try it, right? Just see if it's going to work for you if the calendar method isn't working. Number 3, block your next week following the big rocks principles. Life first, then clients, then sales, then tasks. Be ruthless in sticking to it. Remember, you're brilliant at what you do, but that brilliance needs space to shine. Don't let poor productivity systems hold you back from reaching your true potential. I love your recommendations and what's working for you. Reach out to me on LinkedIn, email, or visit paulhigginsmentoring.com. I'll see you next time on The Paul Higgins Show. Time for action. Let me know what you implemented from the show. I promise to respond. Plus, get the Tech Consultants Roadmap at paulhigginsmentoring.com/roadmap.